Welcome everyone to GamerMelt. The first 3rd Gen Ryzen review has landed and it's seriously unbelievable. But first, don't forget to check out the 100,000 subscriber giveaway where you can win an RX 570. Check that out in the description below. Alright, let's get to the news. AMD's 3rd Gen Ryzen is coming out in July, but luckily an outlet was able to get their hands on a chip early, and they did a review. The outlet is none other than El Chapuz's Informatica, and this story was actually brought to my attention by a user in the Discord server, so thanks for that. Either way, they almost always get a review out prior to a Ryzen launch, and it's typically pretty accurate, given early drivers and hardware limitations. And speaking of hardware limitations, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on what board you plan to get, they were only able to test it on the X470 platform because, well, they don't have an X570 board yet. As far as the review itself, it was done on the Ryzen 5 3600, a 6-core 12-thread CPU with a base clock of 3.6 GHz and a boost of 4.2. The board itself was the X470 Aorus Gaming 7 Wi-Fi. As far as memory, they're using G-Skills 3200 and an NVIDIA 2080 Ti Founders Edition for the GPU. When it comes to the review itself, I won't go over every little thing, but I'll have it linked in the description. Either way, they were able to get most everything working, minus a couple issues with overclocking and memory, but I'll get to the memory one in a minute. When it comes to the overclocking, for whatever reason it would freeze up anytime they tried to add a multiplier. Of course, I believe these are beta drivers, so it's not too surprising. Anyway, with all of that out of the way, I know you just want to see performance, so let's get to it. First up, we have Cinebench scores, and things are looking ridiculously good. Remember that this is a 6-core 12-thread CPU, and in the multi-core score, it went toe-to-toe with the Ryzen 7 1700X, an 8-core 16-thread chip, and it crushes the 8-core 8-thread Intel 9700K. When it comes to single-core performance, it's nearly just as impressive. The 3600 is just inches away from the 9900K at stock speeds, and it annihilates the 2700X. Next we have W Prime, where multi-threaded scores is better than everything but the 9900K and 2700X, meaning it beats out the 9700K, 8700K, and a ton more. And remember that this is a $200 CPU. With that said, there was one issue, although it's almost not an issue, but let me explain. The gaming benchmarks aren't as good as I'd expect, but there's a major reason why I believe that is. Plus, there's still a massive improvement over last gen, so please don't get me wrong. Anyway, the main reason I think is due to the memory problems the reviewer encountered. For starters, if you look at memory latency, the 3600 is faring really poorly, even when compared to 1st Gen Ryzen, and these are actually supposed to be faster in that regard. Then when we look at RAM speed, it's clearly doing some weird things. And of course, because gaming is especially susceptible to poor memory latency, this is almost certainly the main reason. And honestly, I'd chalk this up to early drivers, especially since there's been some rumors that AMD has had a really tough time with their X570 board, so I'm sure the X470 are faring quite a bit worse. Lastly, remember that this is the lowest clock 3rd Gen Ryzen CPU, and it can likely overclock a good bit faster. Basically, when it's all said and done, even with memory and overclocking issues, 3rd Gen Ryzen still performed unbelievably well. There's clearly some kinks to work out, and El Chapuz's Informatica didn't benchmark all that many games, but it's obvious that AMD is about to bring a serious storm with their upcoming Ryzen CPUs. So while that does it for today, what did you think of the news? Are you more excited about Ryzen than ever, or are you just wanting to see more reviews? Let me know down in the comments below. And for more on 3rd Gen Ryzen news and reviews, definitely make sure to subscribe. And as always, have a great day.